Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Liu Jinting. Today, we are so glad to invite Professor Randall from Department of Applied Foreign Languages. Hello, Professor Randall.
Hello. Hello, Jimbo.
Okay, as I know you are an experienced teacher, so how long have you been teaching here?
12 years.
12 years. So why did you have the chance to teach in our school?
Do you want a long story or the short story today?
It depends how you...
12 years ago, I was teaching in Iowa, and I was teaching at a small college and a Catholic college, and my daughter was 5 years old. And one of my colleagues was from China, and he had 2 little children, about the same age as my daughter. And he wanted them to learn Chinese. And so he had to force them to study Chinese. And they hated studying Chinese. And in fact, they didn't really learn Chinese. And when I looked at the other Chinese living in America, it was really hard for them to teach their children Chinese while living in an English environment. The children went to school, they learned English, they didn't understand why their parents were forcing them to study Chinese. So I thought about my daughter. If she grew up in America, she would grow up being just an English speaker. I doubt it if we could force her to learn any Chinese at all. If I wanted her to be bilingual, I thought the easiest way would be to live in a foreign country. So I considered several foreign countries, including Mexico. And 12 years ago, this school was just turning from a
junior college.
Junior college, not really a junior college,
institute
into a university. And the Department of Applied Foreign Languages was just opening up. They had an advertisement in a newspaper. So I just applied for the job because of an advertisement in the newspaper.
So when you first came to Taiwan, did you face any cultural shock?
When I first came to Taiwan, wasn't 12 years ago. When I first came to Taiwan, you weren't born yet.
Okay, so wait.
I think 1981.
Okay, so did you face any culture shock?
Culture shock. It's hard to remember if I faced culture shock or not. That's a long time ago.
Okay,
but I do remember this, that 25 years ago, there were no signs in English. There were no street signs, no store signs, or anything else. And I didn't speak any Chinese at all. And so, it was challenging, but it was fun.
So fun?
Sure, of course it's fun.
So what language did you speak to the vendors or to the store owners?
Well, Jimbo, a lot of times we didn't speak at all.
It just points to the menu then?
Probably.
But how did you know what the food is about?
I mean, those are the first words you would learn. So the very first words that you learned were the words that you ordered at a restaurant, doujiang or mantou or something like that. And so then you would just go and tell the person, and if you went to the same place every day, he got used to you.
Every day?
Yeah, well.
I think UNTEC was not the first school you teach, right? Did you teach in other schools?
I taught in Kaohsiung, at Kaohsiung University of Medicine.
English?
English, yeah.
Okay, so, and since you have been here so long and you understand a lot about Taiwanese culture, or even understand more about it than some of us, so how did you have so many chances to know about Taiwanese culture? First, is that attractive?
How did I have so many chances? Well, I mean, just living here gave me the chances. That's an easy question to answer. But I think your question really is, what do I think about Taiwanese culture? And of course, every culture has its pleasant aspects and its parts that are a little less pleasant. Most foreigners, when they come here, the most interesting aspect of Taiwanese culture that they first notice is chewing betel nuts. So, I mean, that's probably the one thing that I didn't know about from reading or movies that I did notice. after I came. And the really nice thing about Taiwanese culture are the university students. And I say that sincerely. The university students in Taiwan are extremely wonderful young people. They're fun to teach, and they're even easy to teach. It makes my job really pleasant to live in Taiwan and teach university students in Taiwan.
How about in comparison to university students in America?
Well, let's make a comparison to some other countries.
Okay.
I remember one of my colleagues who taught in Turkey. And I think she taught at an all-males school, so maybe that's one of the differences. Maybe it's not a fair comparison. And she taught at a private school where they were mostly rich young men who probably were failures. But she called them, you know, the Turkish felons I teach. A felon is a criminal. And, you know, teaching students from different cultures has different challenges. I've taught Japanese, and the Japanese are, in my opinion, quieter. And it takes longer to get them to open up. And I've taught Mexicans, and the Mexicans are very open, and it doesn't take long at all. In fact, the hard thing is controlling the classroom, because everybody wants to talk all the time.
So how about your learning attitude? Are they aggressive, or how about Taiwanese students?
Well, Taiwanese students are wonderful.